How many times do I have to tell you? In this campaign, you get no experience for killing peasants. Hi guys, Jared here, and welcome to You Start in a Tavern. Today, we're going to be reviewing what might possibly be one of the coolest DM books I've ever come across. Now, let's be honest, I haven't read every third-party D&D book that's out there, but this book is definitely very cool, and it's definitely up there on some of the coolest books I've read, so let's dive in. All right, so the book that we're going to be reviewing today is Sly Flourish's Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master. And it also comes with kind of a follow-up book that's mainly just like a reference guide. So we'll go into that after, but the real review is for the kind of main book here. So what is this book? So it is kind of a reprint of an original book that the same author did several years ago. And this is the updated, most recent version. So what is the Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master? So essentially what this book is it's short, it's to the point. As you can see here, it has pretty cool graphic design and art. And the point of the book is, and the author kind of makes this clear right at the beginning, the book is designed to help you prep as little as possible, but still create the most effective sessions that you can. Now, some people might say, well, being a DM, you should prep a lot and that's where the fun is. But yes, that is true. But this book is not just for being a lazy dungeon master. I legitimately think it has some really, really cool tips and tricks that, DMs of all levels could really, use. But, a lot of DMs are adults. They have jobs, hopefully most DMs do. I'm sorry if any of you DMs out there do not have jobs. It's COVID time, it's rough, I know. So, but still, it takes a lot of time to prep, and if you have a session every week, that's a good chunk of time that you got to take out every week to prep. So, the point of this book is, what are like little tips and tricks that don't require, an expansive amount of prep to still make your games effective. As an example, the biggest joke is a DM will create, books and books and books of lore, and the heroes will only ever see just that surface of it. So this book is really kind of just focusing on that surface, what are these really quick things that are going to engage your players, make the session fun, make it interesting, make it dangerous, etc. So what's very cool is it's also very short and very to the point. So, and it kind of summarizes what the book really goes over here. I don't want to go too in depth to it, obviously, because I'd recommend that you pick up the book. It says that basically to create an effective session, these are the kind of things that you need. You need to review the characters, create a strong start, outline potential scenes, define secrets and clues, develop fantastic locations, outline important NPCs, choose relevant monsters, and select magic item rewards. So essentially it's saying, to have a great session, these are the bare minimum things that you need to do. So, say you have a hectic, week, you don't have a lot of time to prep. This book is really meant to help you. It's designed to help you be able to put together a really, really great D&D session for your players, which honestly is the most important thing to a DM, right? In the least amount of time. So what I like about it is that, the chapters are very short. Like a lot of times they're only a couple of pages. Sometimes they're 2 to 3 pages, literally. What's really great about it. And then there's some added things. There's a Dungeon Master's Toolkit. So there's a few chapters on just like tips for GMing. It also references some other books and other things that you can look up to enhance your DMing. It just has tons of tips and tricks, and I honestly loved it. I read through it. There's some things and you're like, that is so simple, but to the players, that's really gonna create something really effective. As an example, one of them is creating fantastic locations. So for example, let's say you map out a few locations that your characters might go to, during your session. Say there's a cave, say there's a bridge, say there's a castle. that's boring. A bridge is boring, a castle's boring. So, you know, it kind of tells you how to spice up those locations. And it gives you solid tips. Like, for example, I believe it says for a location, give it 3 names. So, for example, the Dead Skull Bridge, or, you know, like the Dark Chasm Pit. You know, like, even just using these simple little tips like that as an example is kind of how the whole book goes. You think, wow, you know, just by giving it a cool name and following that rule of like having every location have, you know, 3 words to define it, that's an instant, easy thing to make, you know, locations really cool for your players. All right, so the Lazy DM's workbook. So this is a smaller book, and it's really just a reference to kind of coincide with the Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master. So, you know, it has a high-level summary. So once you've read through the other book, you can just kind of literally reference this page to kind of remember what you need to do. And then there's other things. There's cool things for 5th edition reference, you know, cover light actions in combat, quick encounter building. You know, a lot of this stuff exists in the Dungeon Master's Guide, but it's just kind of cool to sometimes, like, maybe people want to reference this or get a different opinion. There's some random tables, some, you know, fantasy names, you know, and it also comes with some kind of cool pre-generated little, like, little locations that you can throw in if you don't have time to prep. So, you know, there's a docks map, and it kind of defines the different locations. What else do we have here? Oh, there's like a sewers map here, which is really cool. So, you know, like if you don't have time to just quickly make a map, you can, you know, whip this out if you're having a quick session and you know, just use this as reference. All right, so let's get into the Gold Dragon rating. So number 1, quality. I'm gonna give the quality, I'd say about 3 or 4 stars. You know, the art is very nice. The quality of the book is nice. You know, it could have been a hardcover. You know, it could have been like obviously it could have been a little more. You know, the cover could have been a nicer material. But I have to say that, you know, the graphic design, the quality of the artwork in it, I think it's pretty good. Practicality. I am going to say 4 gold dragons. I think this is actually very practical. I think this is a very, very practical tool. You know, I think every DM needs to really get down to the root of what makes a good session, and that's what takes years of practice. You know, as most of you know, sometimes I have great sessions where the players tell me like they had a blast, and I honestly, like, I'm so happy. And then other times, you know, I just leave not feeling very satisfied with that session. And I think this book is kind of the key to becoming a consistent DM. Price. Price, I'm going to say 3 stars. It's not overpriced, but it's also not a cheap book either. Design. I'm going to give the design, I'm going to say 3 stars. Like I said before, the graphic design is nice, the art is nice. Yeah, I mean, like, it could, there could have been maybe some cool little summary pages. All right, so to finish it off, is this a must-have? For the main book, I'm definitely going to say this is a must-have. It, like I said before, it's short, you know, it's to the point, it's easy to remember, it's easy to understand, it's very simple, and I think every DM should at least give this a read because it helps you create consistently good sessions. The secondary book, the Lazy DM's workbook, the one that accompanies it, I have to give this a hard no. I do not think this is a must-have. And my reason being is that, yes, there are some cool reference tables in here, you know. As an example, like, my players always grill me when I can't come up with an NPC name on the spot, or I accidentally mix up the names later on, and they'll never forgive me for that, and they'll keep calling that NPC by my mistaken name. But so as an example here, there's a huge chart of you know, fantasy names. But in my opinion, you know, when you're playing Dungeons & Dragons, you got a lot of stuff behind your DM screen, a ton of stuff. I don't have room for another book, unfortunately. You know, yes, some of these tables are really useful, but, you know, I just can't see me, like, I already have, you know, you have your DM screen, you know, the rules are kind of behind there. You have, like, usually your own notes and stuff. Like, I can't have another book behind my DM screen. And, you know, having to flip through these, when you need them could be annoying. Hey, maybe you could cut out the things in here and tape it to your DM screen, the things you really love. I don't know. I'm not saying that this is useless. It's a very cool reference thing, and there's tons of great content in here, but I don't think it's practical, and I don't think it's a must-have. All right, everybody, thank you for watching this review of Sly Flourishes, the Lazy Dungeon Master. If you like this video, leave a comment and subscribe if you haven't, and tell me your thoughts. Have you read this book? Have you heard of it before? And do you have any questions, or do you have any ideas for something else that I should review or discuss? Thank you. I'm excited to hear. And may all your rolls be criticals.